All right, and joining us right now, my good friend, huge DC insider, legend of the game. I was looking up to this guy before I even got the chance to meet him. Big fan of your work, sir. Thank you for joining us on the ComicCon show here at Comicbook.com. Umberto Gonzalez is here.
How you doing? Thanks for having me. Thank you for the kind words. It's very touching.
Of course, brother. There's nobody better than you in the scoop game. You're an ace in the superhero movie genre, bro. You've made a name for yourself better than most anybody in this industry.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, bro.
And so listen, there's nobody better to chop it up about the future of DC films, and that's what we're gonna do. Not only, you're a huge DC fan. That's no secret. Like we're fanboys. That's why we do what we do. We love this stuff, and we love talking about this stuff with everybody. For me, I think it's almost more exciting to talk about with everybody than it is to watch it. Although I love watching the stuff too, and read the stuff. But so you're very well connected with the DC world too. So you're the perfect guy to talk with all this stuff. And just to go to show how well connected you are, let's start with, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like this might be highlight of the career type stuff. You broke, I think last year, the story of the year in our industry was Spider-Man. The coming back, leaving Marvel and coming back, whoever broke that was going to be on top of the game. And then this year, the story of the year, and so far story of the decade, we're in a new decade, is Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. Warner Brothers is trying to get Michael Keaton back as Batman. You broke that news. Walk me. What is that like for you? How does that go? How does that feel to break the biggest story, especially for somebody like you who loves Keaton's Batman so much?
Yeah, I mean, it was before it got out. It was very stressful because sometimes what might be true today may not be true tomorrow. It was a very fluid situation, but basically, before the pandemic happened, I got word that, and I didn't believe it at first. Like, really? Nah, that Michael Keaton was going to come back to reprise his role as Batman. Okay. So what happened was the DC guys, they're having their development meetings and whatnot. And Thomas Wayne, your boy Jeffrey Dean Morgan, it was floated upon very early on in the early stages of development. But then the idea came, instead of doing that, let's pull a Feige type move. And why don't we ask Keaton to come back? Okay. And then I guess they started engaging with his agency and him around December, beginning of this year. So it's been in the works for a very long time. Sometimes these talks take forever, and that's the stressful part. So when I found out about it, as trade reporters do, we got a call, we got to check for accuracy, and then we have to, look, it's too early, so I got told, look, it's too early. It might not happen. I even said that in my story, it might not happen, but sure, if you could wait while it's a little bit more definitive, we'll protect you and whatnot. So it's like, oh my God. So the problem was, I'm not the only scooper in the game. There's a lot of up and coming youngsters that are well sourced and stuff. So I would see every time I would see like a Michael Keaton Batman meme online, my heart would start coming out of my chest. Like, oh my God. Does someone else know? So I had a story ready to go. And then like a week or so beforehand, I got a call. It's like, look, we're close on this. We just wanted to keep you updated. Don't worry, you're the only one in this story, blah, blah, blah. But apparently I wasn't the only one on this story. I lost the story. I almost lost the story. If I hadn't published when I did, Boris Kitt would have had it in 10 more minutes. He was actually writing it. I found out, he told me. He was actually writing it when I broke it. He was like 3 paragraphs in. Yeah. But I had it much longer, obviously. I had a fully fleshed out story. We explained what the multiverse concept is. And then how he played the role in the first 2 Batman movies. But I was like, I couldn't believe it. It's like, wait a minute. So Michael Keaton, in my opinion, like for your generation, for millennials, the superhero movie boom started with X-Men. Okay? I don't mean to sound like an old guy here, but for us Generation Xers, we're not boomers, okay? But when I was a teenager, I was 15.
Let me take a selfie. What?
When I was 15, we saw Keaton in the theater. And it's like to see on opening night, weekend, to see that movie, to see Batman finally come to life like 10, 11 years after Superman. It was real. And the movie was good. And it was like, oh my God. So it was besides being the biggest story of my career, it was also my most personal, because it's what started, in my opinion, this movie fandom and movie sites. Like back in those days, there weren't websites. There wasn't no comic book or Hollywood wasn't any cool. We used to get our stuff from Entertainment Tonight. We'd see trailers there for the first time. And then whatever books that was out on the making of, that's how we'd get our information. like rabid fanboys. But then what happened was, as it got closer, and then there were more memes popping up of, look, guys, I'm in danger of losing the story. So basically, once I spoke to Keaton's publicist and the agency involved, we got the green light, and then boom, we finally published. And that weekend was the most stressed. The weekend before, it was nothing but anxiety. Sometimes when it's anxiety. I was dripping with anxiety. So I even bought the Batman 4K, watched it on TV, watched the behind the scenes featurettes all over again. I haven't seen it in years. It looked great. And it's like, wow, how far we've come. I'm like, please, God, let me break this. Please, please, please. I even got a trophy in the event that it's officially mine. If I didn't win it, if I lost the story, I would have returned that. I couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be a painful reminder, but
Dude,
then it happened.
There's nothing scarier than when you have a scoop, and especially in this situation, you were 100% sure. I mean, last year, I had a Spider-Man returning story written in the back end of the site, and there was one this year that I chose not to, because I'm pretty sure it's a spoiler. I don't want to say what it was. I'm pretty sure it was a spoiler, so I didn't run it, but I knew about it, and it got out anyway. And
I know what you're talking about, but I won't say it either.
Yeah, but so it's like that feeling of getting beat it's just this empty pit you have because you're just like, oh, I don't want to go out there and say, oh, I knew. But it's the same. I mean, I like there's things you also don't say out of respect because you don't want to get in trouble with the studio, the publicist, anything like that. But also out of respect to these people. Like I knew Andrew Lincoln was leaving The Walking Dead for 2 years, but the people who make that show have been so good to me that it's a choice, and I have to, you have to honor that out of the people, the respective people who make the show, and they scratch your back as long as you know. But anyway, look, congratulations on that scoop. That's huge. But I want to start there since we're going to talk about the future of DC films. I feel like this Michael Keaton thing is huge, and I feel like we are on the brink of multiverse wars in the movies, and I don't mean that within DC. I mean within two different franchises. We are going to have an arms race between DC Films and Marvel Studios because Michael Keaton coming back is the first major strike, I think, in the multiverse wars. And I also feel like DC has more depth to pull from if they want to pull from already established characters from previous IP. You can bring it. I mean, the possibilities are there more deeply for them than they are for Marvel. But we've also seen a lot of success with DC operating independently with movies like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Shazam. All great movies and all well received more universally. And say you can have your opinions of Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Justice League. The fact is, those movies were received better critically and by a lot of fans. I don't think there's any argument about that. You can love Batman vs Superman, especially the Ultimate Edition. It's a good movie. Yes. But the other movies were better received, and they made a lot of money. Especially
made $1 billion. Aquaman made $1 billion.
Shazam didn't make a lot, but it was not as expensive, and it was a debut of a very little known character. You know what I mean? So that's a success because people enjoyed it. So I think my kind of theory here is you can go into you can use Flashpoint to launch the multiverse with Keaton's Batman, assuming they get that deal done and he does appear, and then you can kind of send everybody into their own little pocket and operate separately. But now that you've introduced the multiverse, you can have them collide and come over together however you want, whenever in the future, while also hitting that soft reboot to move forward. I want to hear what you think about that.
Yes, I agree with what you said. I do feel that we are indeed in an arms race between Marvel and DC. The new thing is, okay, which studio could bring back a celebrated actor who's played a celebrated IP many decades or years ago? So basically, as we all know, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, who's a director, Sam Raimi. So the rumor got out there, and I checked with DC, and I checked with, I checked with Marvel, and I checked with Disney, and I was told it was inaccurate. Like, look, I'm hearing that Tobey Maguire might reprise his role as the Raimi versus Spider-Man in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So they didn't say it wasn't true. They say it's inaccurate, which leads me to believe that it might. And pardon me if I'm dropping an accidental spoiler, but I don't think something of that magnitude could be kept so secret in this day and age. So basically, I agree with you. DC struck first. And I think they knew about each other's intentions and plans as well. But DC struck first. And I think, and I would hope, maybe we see some sort of Tobey Maguire appearance in some MCU movie. But Doctor Strange seems like the most obvious fit. So look at Marvel, for example. Post-Endgame, how are you going to top that? How do you keep it moving forward? How do you keep the fans excited? I don't think of no other way than bringing back Tobey Maguire. Again, as of today, it's still unconfirmed. It's apparently not accurate. We'll see. We'll see. We'll either see it in the movie or get reported out beforehand, you know?
I mean, yeah, if a guy like that shows up on set, there's no way you keep that from getting out. So we'll see. I mean, that's something I'd love to see, but that's a topic for tomorrow's Future of the MCU show. I think the idea of a and DC has already proven the multiverse can exist because they did it on The Flash. They tied it all together. And I mean, the Infinite Earths crossover, it's a smaller scale version. We can most movie fans probably didn't watch that. I mean, it had a good audience. The CW fans all watched it. But the movie audience and the TV audience are two different things. And there's definitely plenty of overlap on that Venn diagram, you know what I mean? So, but I think, you have two different audiences as well. You have a larger audience at the movie, so you can kind of do that again or do a whole new version of it in the films. So how far do you think they can take this? I mean, is there anything, like, as a fan that you want to, like, this doesn't have to be things you've heard, but things you want to see happen, actors you'd love to see come back, or crossovers just in your dream world, like, you think that would be really cool?
Oh, no, absolutely. But that's the plan. You see, DC used to be bifurcated. You have a different Flash here and a different on TV and a different Flash in the movie. With this current administration, currently at DC Films, they want to create IP, okay, that could be seamless and could be in the TV shows and the movies, just like Marvel. They're learning from that playbook. And you just said the perfect example. We saw Ezra Miller. Everybody saw that little scene, at least. Ezra Miller appeared with Grant Gustin on the CW show. That was done strategically because that's the way they're headed. That's what they're trying to do. Make them seamless, all part of this multiverse. That's how you introduce the multiverse. So the seeds are already getting planted. They've been doing it on the shows with Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and The Flash. But to bring Ezra, even for a cameo on The Flash, was very clever and strategic. So it's exciting to me. Like, personally, I'd like to see this guy in the movie.
Oh, give me Joe Manganiello versus Ben Affleck, please. Oh, I'd kill. We'll never see it. We'll never see it.
I'm still trying to get that screenplay, and I haven't given up hope. I might get it one day, so we'll see. But to answer your question, no, it's awesome. Who wouldn't want to see, let's say, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman again in the DCEU? But it's a very exciting thing, and I think I think they have a good head on their shoulders, and they know what they're doing this time around. They feel a little bit more confident. They have a little bit more breathing room. Again, Aquaman was a huge success for them. It made $1 billion. Okay, Shazam was considered a hit. They're shooting that sequel. They're going to prep that sequel whenever this madness is over, and I think we'll be seeing more of that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Shazam, Black Adam, and all that before we wrap up. And I think a big reason that Flashpoint is going. And it's funny you say that. I asked Christina Hodson at the Birds of Prey junket about that cameo by Ezra Miller, and she's writing the Flash movie, which is probably Flashpoint. And I said, did you guys have to account for that? And I said, like, did you guys have to plan for that? And she said, yeah, we had to plan for that in our movie. Like, that is something we knew about and had to plan for. So the wheels are turning now with everybody over there with all DC things. And I think that's cool to see. And it's only going to be a big win. But I feel like one thing that this might be doing is distancing the future of DC even further from Zack Snyder's early works. And it seems like that has been what Warner Brothers is trying to do. When you look at Aquaman, when you look at Shazam, Wonder Woman 1984, even Wonder Woman, the first movie, it's all kind of separating. And Birds of Prey, especially, more than anything, really said we're the ties are essentially cut. We're doing our own thing. It literally emancipated itself.
Yes.
But we still have Zack Snyder's Justice League coming to HBO Max.
Right.
Which I think is very interesting. I can't wait to see it. If only out of curiosity, but there is more reasons I want to see it. I genuinely am intrigued to see his work, and hopefully it's awesome because we're all going to watch it. So why not enjoy it? But do you think that there's the door has to be closed there. I imagine that Warner Brothers isn't going to be bringing Ben Affleck back as Batman on HBO Max, even if the Snyder Cut is 11 out of 10 quality. Like Robert Pattinson is Batman going forward, so and Michael Keaton is Batman going forward. So I have a hard time imagining a world where they do bring Ben back, or where even Ben wants to come back.
Exactly. That's the thing. There was an interview earlier this week, actually yesterday, where the reality starting to hit into these fans that yes, after Justice League, the Snyderverse will consist of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and his Justice League. His three movies are their own contained thing, but DC definitely wants to move forward, and that they make basically the Flash by the end of that movie, from what I understand, will reset the Justice League going forward in DC canon. Okay, so if you think about it, other reporters, I think Holly Reporter did something as well. Like Michael Keaton's Batman might be the mentor role for a couple other characters,
Like
or
Fury, right? Is that how we compare it?
Yeah, no, but the Flash is by the end of that movie, it'll reboot the Justice League. From what I understand,
it's gonna be interesting. It all comes down to execution. Like that's the bottom line. Like the concept of it, you could hate it, you could love it, but it all comes down to how it's done. Like I feel like this idea is too far away. We don't even know enough about it to judge it yet. So it's tough to even say. But I am curious to see if they incorporate Pattinson's Batman. Personally, I think what Matt Reeves is doing is the most fully realized Gotham I think we're ever going to see with a Batman in live action. I think this is like that to me, I think can exist in its own world and be satisfying. That said, I'm going to still want to see Batman with Superman and Green Lantern and Green Arrow and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Cyborg and Flash. How do you feel? I mean, would you prefer a Gotham that is completely isolated with a fully realized roster of rogue villains? Or do you think we need to incorporate Pattinson's Batman into that shared multiverse?
Originally, while they were exploring the Thomas Wayne Keaton idea, there was an attempt. This has never been reported before. They were exploring the possibility of Pattinson coming in at Flash, even if it's just for a cameo. But then, how do you explain the Ben Affleck Batman? You see what I'm saying?
So I mean, they have to explain that somehow anyway. I hope.
But from what I understand, the Matt Reeves verse or his side of the multiverse will be its own contained thing, and the film does well and there's sequels. That doesn't rule out the possibility that we might see another DC character appear in either the second or third Matt Reeves Batman film. It depends how the first one does, of course. But I think it's smart to have its own contained thing and have an older Keaton Batman be part of their thing. But that's the beauty again of the multiverse. You see?
You could have them operating in parallel universes and they don't impact each other until they do, and then they don't. We can all go back.
Just like the comics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are so many storylines in comics where Harley Quinn does one thing here and then Harley Quinn dies there, but her story still, that's the way it works. And comic fans know that. And I feel like movie fans are starting to learn that. Like Into the Spider-Verse, I feel like really introduced how that works to people. And it's going to be very interesting to see this all play out in movies. But speaking of multiverses and Batman, I don't feel like we need another Joker so soon. Like, it's hard to imagine a fully realized Gotham without a Joker, but there's that rumor that along the way Reeves is going to introduce a Joker. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I heard that too, but again, they're 7 weeks into their production. They got to worry first about wrapping the next 11 weeks and going back to production and wrapping the next 11 weeks.
And they're going to film that whole thing indoors now, right? That's what somebody said. They're going to very little on location, if any, as a means to keep everybody safe, which that's crazy.
I do know that they're using the Mandalorian technology, the NVIDIA 3D sets. Okay, that they I haven't seen, but I saw how big the stages were where they like at a lunch that I was at, and they did show like conceptual art or the conceptual designs that would go into that technology that you would have a virtual Gotham City. So it makes sense that they would go indoors and just recreate the daylight and nighttime environments like they did with Mandalorian.
And then you have total control over it too. You're not at the mercy of the sunlight and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Which would be a nightmare for filmmakers. And obviously, we talked about Batman. We got to talk about Superman.
Of course.
Man, I love Henry Cavill Superman. I love Henry Cavill Superman. He didn't do the Shazam cameo. He wanted his own movie. And I respect that. That's I'm not going to come be a little surprise in your movie if you're not going to pay me respect. I understand that. That's what I've heard. But we don't know if we're ever getting a Man of Steel 2. Maybe Man of Tomorrow, whatever shape it could take in our minds. Where does Cavill fit into all? Because I feel like he might fit somewhere because he showed up and showed support for the Snyder Cut. He never did that before. He was silent on it. and he showed up. And so I feel like maybe behind the scenes, something happened that he was like, you know what, I'll play ball because you're playing ball. So where do you think he fits?
In hindsight, he should have done the cameo.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely, or else he wouldn't be in the situation that he's in right now. Don't get me wrong, Superman has a future at DC. And as of now, they're trying to figure out if maybe, they stick him in the Flash, okay? Or even the upcoming Shazam, okay? But right now, there's no need for him, for the Superman or his Superman yet, okay? Doesn't mean it's a closed door. But for one thing for sure is that they're not making a Man of Steel 2, okay? Because it's painfully obvious they're leaving that option open for J.J. Abrams to step in since he's a big Superman fan. So let's say J.J. Abrams steps in and wants to do a Superman wants to do a Superman movie. He'll have the option of either having his own Superman, okay, or using Henry Cavill, okay? But as it stands right now, if we do see Henry's Superman again, it'll probably be he used to be a starter, okay, and now he has to go on the bench for a little while and be a utility player for Shazam or the Flash and back cleanup for a little while. Maybe. We don't know that yet. But right now is when they're figuring that out. But we should be hearing something before the end of the year, hopefully.
Well, listen, here's my thinking is that Cavill has his ties to Dwayne Johnson through his management. Black Adam is on the way. We all want to see Black Adam and Superman. I mean, who doesn't want to see that?
Right.
I also want to see Shazam and Black Adam. So hopefully, I mean, with Hiram Garcia involved, with Danny Garcia involved, with Dwayne Johnson involved, Dwayne is a guy who takes creative control over his projects. That's why I don't know if he'll ever fit into the Marvel universe, because I know Kevin Feige is very particular, and they have their way. And I don't know if Dwayne would have the same kind of input at Marvel that he might have at DC. So I think hopefully they're able to make some things happen where Cavill and DJ can share the screen and get Zachary Levi in there, and all of our Shazam, Black Adam, Superman dreams will come true.
As of right now, as of today, he's currently not in the current draft of the Black Adam script. And that's from multiple people in the know. As of today, you never know, it could change their introduction.
But, I mean, the JSA is coming together. We just got Adam Smasher, Noah Centineo. We don't really know who else is going to be there. Probably Hawkman, I would assume. Especially
yes, a certain Thanagarian might be making a special guest star appearance.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I think this is going to be a set a long, long time ago. That's my theory.
Okay.
And I think it's going to that's how you keep Shazam out of it. And then in a post-credit scene or a very end something, you see why Black Adam, maybe it's split. Maybe it's in the past and in the present. I don't know. You know more about this than I do.
We got Adam Smasher right now. I think they're casting Hawkman. They don't have anyone just yet. Who's the other member of the Justice Society? Stargirl, I think. Or I forgot her. Or it might not be her or Dr. Light. But we're definitely seeing the beginnings of the Justice Society of America being set up in Black Adam. Okay, there's obviously some sort of archaeological twist. So it makes sense, but the JSA is coming together. Black Adam, that's revving up casting. So they're like 3-4 roles, I think. The last time I checked, that we're all in various stages of tracking, but nothing requires it.
I feel like Black Adam is almost like the New Mutants. Like production of Black Adam is like the release date of the New Mutants. Like it's this thing we've been hearing about for so long, but is it ever gonna happen?
It's gonna finally happen, but COVID happened, brother.
Yeah, we'll get there. We will definitely get there. DJ's not the one to take his foot off the gas. And finally, let's talk about Margot Robbie and Harley Quinn, because she started in Suicide Squad, she continued in Birds of Prey, and now she's continuing in The Suicide Squad with James Gunn. And I know more about that than I'm allowed to say. I think it's going to be awesome. I think that movie's going to be fantastic. But it's hard to figure out where Margot fits into all this going after that.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been tracking that. But I think she comes out in Suicide Squad and maybe another Suicide Squad sequel or so. I don't know if Birds of Prey will get a sequel or if there's a Gotham City Sirens or something. But I think for now, after Suicide Squad, she'll be done with DC for now.
She might take a little breather from it because it was one after the other for her. It was
DC has to.
I think you can get some of those female heroes on screen without her. I think, that's I'm not saying that's what I want to see. I'm all for some Harley Quinn content, but Birds of Prey introduced us to some awesome characters. I just hope if they give them a sequel, which unfortunately the movie underperformed and was also hurt by movie theaters closing. But I think you give those characters a good movie, give it a good title so it makes some money. Because I want to see more of Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Jurnee Smollett, Rosie Perez. I thought they were awesome. So I'm hoping that the future there is bright as well. And Aquaman 2 is around the corner. We haven't even talked about Aquaman. Who knows what's going on with that? They got Aquaman 2, the Trench spinoff is supposed to be happening. A lot going on there. I feel like is all kind of – DC Fandome is going to make a lot of that a lot more clear, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would think we would get a trailer for the Suicide Squad. But yeah, Aquaman, poor Aquaman. I'm pretty sure because after Batman wraps, then the Flash goes, and they have to tee up Black Adam and Shazam, and after that's when they tee up Aquaman 2. So I think that's at least another year away. I think
at DC Fandom we will get looks at the Batman. I think we will get looks at the Suicide Squad. I think we'll probably get some good concept art for the other movies like Black Adam. I think we'll get something. And I think we'll get a lot of casting announcements. I think that's why things like Noah Centineo came out, because WB wants to lock these things up to have an exciting event on August 22nd. And it's going to it's the same as what happened at D23 with Kit Harington and Eternals. The day before it comes out,
Wow.
So I think it's these deals are coming together. And they're starting it out there. And I think you may have made Michael Keaton a lot of money because with that out there, the fans are going to accept nothing less. So all the bargaining is in his favor.
Absolutely. I'm just curious to see if he even suits up or if he's going to wear some version of the Kingdom Come Batman suit. I mean, he is pushing 70,
Yeah. He just put on a vulture suit. He put on a whole vulture suit. So.
Yeah, he could probably do that, but then that's the first ever DC Marvel crossover in movies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What do you think? Is there any chance a Christian Bale reprisal ever sees the light of day?
Hey, if this guy could come back, anything is possible. Okay, anything is possible.
That is the high note we want to end on. Which title of the DC slate are you most excited for?
I got to be honest. I think the Flash because of Keaton, the Keaton novel. Think about it real quick. My generation, multiple generations know there's 30 years of history that people know that Michael Keaton, whether you're a fanboy or not, was Batman at one point. So you not only get hardcore fanboys and the fans of the franchise, you get curious moviegoers too. Hey, this guy hasn't played Batman in 30. Let's just go check him out. So I have a feeling there's more oomph right now with surrounding the Flash movie just because of this guy.
That movie's gonna make all the money. All the money.
I think so. I hope so.
I can't wait. Well, Umberto, man, it's always good to catch up with you. I can't wait until the world gets back to whatever form of normal it's gonna get back to, so we can start linking up in LA and around the world and everywhere. We get to do all the fun stuff we usually get to do and swap secrets and theories and everything like that.
Yes.
This is for everybody watching. This is essentially when we link up in person. This is essentially what happens. There's just no camera rolling. So
Exactly.
That's why I was like, you know what, I got to go to Umberto to talk about DC because every time we connect, we talk about other stuff, and it would make a great show. So why not?
Absolutely, brother.
Well, brother,
thank you for having me on, man.
If somehow the people watching don't already follow you, how can they find you on social media?
On Twitter, I'm at El Mayimbe, and on Instagram, my name at Umberto Gonzalez, both of them one word, and therap.com, heroichollywood.com. But social media, I'm more active. I'm active on both Twitter and Instagram. I don't TikTok.